Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is AIOps. This is our monthly series, and we're going to be going through ServiceOps, bridging AI service and operation management. Today, joining us as a guest speaker is Jorge. He will do his formal introduction shortly. And obviously joining myself is Yaron Front, our product director of AIOps, and he's also an evangelist. So before we get started, just a couple of reminders for those that are also new to Zoom. You do have the Q&A section of Zoom at the bottom. If you do have any questions during the demo and the presentation, please put them in there. We will have some time at the end where we can take those to the live Q&A. Until that time, you will remain muted so we can get through the transition of slides and also the demo. So I'm really excited to be able to hand over to Jorge, who's going to get us started. So over to you, Jorge.
Thanks very much, Sam. I'm Jorge Cifra. I'm Senior Principal Solution Engineer based in Argentina. And let's start. 400 million years ago, the Earth was just one continent called Pangaea. As the time moves, the different parts started to split. And so you got America over here, India coming from the bottom to crash into Asia sometime in the future. We got the massive extinction 65 million years ago in Yucatan that mostly erased 3 out of every 4 species. And we get to the current date. Early humans appeared here around 7 million years ago. But only around 300,000 years did the Homo sapiens, we, as we know, appear in Africa. And they stayed there for a while. And around 65,000 years ago, very short time in the past, they start to spread all over the world. Beginning by foot, but then they took boats to get to Australia and Indonesia. And finally, a little more than 100 years ago, we as human species invented the airplane. And now we can go from anywhere to anywhere by plane. But sometimes it's a bit difficult, overwhelming to find the correct routes. There are a lot of planes going all the time, everywhere. So it's handy to have tools like Google Flight to easy search and filter the connecting flights from one continent to the other. Today, we will see how BMC can help you connect all the different parts of the operation world. And to do that, we will talk about ServiceOps. So let's introduce ServiceOps. You might have seen this in the past. This is the Forrester Wave analysis. There are 2 Forrester Wave here. On the left, AIOps one, in which BMC is the leader. And on the right, the Enterprise Service Management, in which BMC is also leader. And you can see that BMC is the only one leader really on top on both. This join of AIOps and Service Management, it's what we call ServiceOps. And for that, we have a platform, which is called Helix ServiceOps. In this platform, we got a lot of common elements. We get the common data store, we can open APIs to be used, we get the dashboard based on Grafana, and all other solutions. And on top of that, we got 2 big solutions: service operations and operation management. Service management and operation management. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Let's split it. Let's take out everything that we don't need. And today, what we're going to do is talk about these 2 continents, ITOM and ITSM. And to do that, we will introduce a tool that you receive on your invite, which is this one. And from here on, we will do everything on demo on this tool and on the products. What do we have here? We got our 2 continents we want to connect. You can see on the left, ITOM, on the right, ITSM. On the ITSM continents, we got some countries, incident, change, problem, and all the others. And there's also satellite countries like virtual agent, digital workplace. On the left, we got the main ones, AIOps, monitor and event, Beacon, for those who know. Let me zoom out a little bit. And some others countries like APM, network monitor, capacity, remediation. let's not forget about dashboard, which is common to the whole solution. And now we want to find ways to communicate all these countries. And here is the moment that you do breathe, you don't panic, and we make appear all the lines that connect all of the modules or products of the Helix world. Before going further, before getting into the demo of the products of Helix, I will give a brief introduction of this solution we are showing here. In the invitation you received for accessing this webinar, there was a link. There is a link to the actual solution. What do we have here? We got, of course, the different components. You got elements, which are the circles, and you got relationships, which are the flight path between the elements. Each of the elements has a color, which is type. So you got, for example, ITOM, you got in pink, and you got ITSM kind of green. And you got filters. For example, on the top, you got filters. Okay, show me all the ITOM elements. And you can take everything out and just focus on that. Come back. You got relationships, which are the lines. And there are different types of relationships which are commented here. Everything is documented in the link you receive. I will not explain today all the relationships, but just for you to know. For example, this here show data flowing between elements, for example, discovery and CMDB, or red are process, meaning some process is being affected by other part of the tool. On the bottom, you will see all the filter relations, meaning filters you apply to relations, like this one here, but also this on the right. On the very bottom right, you will see the number of elements, meaning countries, and connections, meaning all the flights you get. And as I do click on other parts, like I did before, you see on the bottom right, it says, okay, there were 28 elements. I click ITSM, that you got 11 elements on the bottom right of the screen. On the top left, those are the elements or country filters. There are some there. I will not explain them today, but you can play. It's documented in the link you receive. Very important, or most important that only this, is that when you hover over each element, it has a description. For example, change is the module, etc. And you can click here and get directly into the web page. If you click into any element on the left, will appear some more details and also link to documentation. That is very important, especially for the relationships. For example, if you click here, you see, okay, if I want to configure discovery to connect to CMDB, here's the link to the documentation that does the CMDB synchronization for those that are aware of how does work. And last but not least, one other feature of this that I found very important for what some customers told me is the ability to focus in one process. For example, let's say you are the incident manager and you want to know everything you can use from incidents. So I can put focus here and you can see every line or every flight that gets in or out of the incident. And you can see how you can leverage all the incident relationships. For example, with the ITOM world, the other part of the continent, or this, here. So for today, and moving on, today we'll only focus on how to connect the ITOM and ITSM, which is kind of the strength of BMC as ServiceOps. Which are all these lines in the middle here, all these flags that go from one continent to the other. And to do that, we will click here. Before I click, take a look. Currently, I have a 28 and 90. As the moment I click, I get the same number of elements, but I reduce the connection to 23. I got 23 connections of same type between these two words, discovery and all this and that, and some here in the middle. yeah, I'm not counting specifically all the connection between dashboard and all of the elements, both on the left side and on the right side. So now let's talk about products, because it's really difficult to demo all of the products at the same time. We'll do it part by part. And so I created for this webinar, I modified the tool to allow me to show different demos. So we'll focus first in this one, which is AIOps and incident, which part on the top. As soon as I do that, and I zoom a little bit in, I can see some of the relationships that appear there. For example, from the incident, if I hover here, hop over, it tells me, inside the incident, you can see the status of the service, which is provided by AIOps, even though it does not say there, and the probable cause of the CI inside the incident. And also, from AIOps, you can create an incident based on event or situation, either manually or automatically, and the incident and events remains sync as long as they live. So let's do a first demo and see how we can leverage that information and use it. So, product time. This is cie𝗂𝘂𝗁 ITSM. I forgot to mention, but I assuming that you have some knowledge of the Helix family. I will not go into detail today explaining all the features of ITSM, nor all the features for AIOps or BHOM. I will use some of those. So we'll do the first two demos. So we started in Helix ITSM. You can see all the incident from here. If I get into one incident, I have one here open, that Mia called and complained that she was not able to connect to media service because she, when creating the incident, we put here, okay, what is the affected service she's using is media service. And I can see from here that it's been affected. This information is coming from the other continent, from AIOps. And also from AIOps, it's telling me which is the probable cause, the CI that the probable cause of this affected CI status, meaning the media service has some kind of problem. That's good enough for the agent attending Mia Ramirez. Or if we take another example, in this case, they are reporting slowness on Apex Watch. And here we got Apex Watch, the service, which also has been affected. And there's another CI, in this case, an IP, which ends in 124. Let's remember that number, 124, that will appear again very soon. So we can see one of the integrations from the incident where is telling something that was going on the other part of the world, on the continent, and the AIOps continent, the ITOM. So what else we talk about? We said there was another option. From the AIOps world, we can see we can create incidents inside the ITSM. That is an out-of-the-box connection. I didn't mention it before, but I will in the next iteration. Is most of these connections, almost all of those are out of the box, which is the strength of BMC. We'll see that when we come back, we go back to the tool. So we are now in AIOps. We can see the status of Apex Watch we were analyzing before, the application. You see the topology, which is in discovery. We got information from many parts. We click here. We can see all the alerts, which is okay, that's AIOps, but also we can see the incidents created for these CIs. So there's an incident there. I could click and it will take me to the other part of the world, to the ITSM, directly into the incident. But also, if I click and go into incident and situation, for those that are not aware, situations are an automatic correlation of a bunch of events that appear together and affecting a service. So in this case, I got two situations which created two incidents. But what I want to show here, when I get into this situation is that if we go down, we'll see all the events that are affected here. And each of these events are related to the same incident. You see the situation is affected to this incident. And because I said so, I'm collecting all alerts to the same incident, which is 729. I could do otherwise. That's a process definition. Could be that you would like to make it that each alert goes to its own incident ticket, so goes route to a different tower or group of people solving that. To do this configuration is very easy in AIOps. There is just this open and close, and you define how the slots in the events maps to the fields in the incidents, and two more things, and activate it, and it's working. You have nothing to do. It's really out-of-the-box connection. These tickets I show were automatically created, but you could also decide, okay, I do not want to create automatically ticket. I want to do it manually. So you could come here. If this alert was not associated to an incident, you could click there, click create incident, and it will create an incident for that alert on the fly, directly inside the tool and linking the alert with the incident. So let's go back. So we saw in the demo how from inside the incident, the status of the service that is being read from AIOps, and also how from AIOps, from the alerts or situations, is creating incidents and maintaining the relationship between those. So we got a first quick flags between AIOps country and the incident country. Let's move on. Second one, AIOps and change. There are three connections here. We will demo two today, but there is something that is coming very soon that is telling me that from analyzing the change using GPT will give me predictive alerts on AIOps. This is coming soon. It's not there yet. But there are the other two that we'll demo today. The first one is, okay, from AIOps, it will read all the change in the change manager and show those in context to see the evolution of the status of the service. We see that. And also, it will consider the changes to the CIs as part of the root cause analysis, because we all know that when something breaks, the first thing we ask is, what has changed? Hopefully, we got a change request documented. If that's the case, we'll get it from there. If not, that goes other path. I forgot to mention, and I promise I will do it now, one of the filters I added in my solution is which of this is out of the box. So let's quickly get out from here. Let's take out the filter. If I click here, for example, I can see which are out of the box and which are not. There are some customer development which I added, some other one, this 3 or 4, 3 actually, which I found interesting. And because we're not out of the box, I put it and decided to comment that. But almost all of them, all of the connections are out of the box. So let's go back to AIOps and change. So what do we have here? We are again looking at Apex watches. I didn't mention before, on the top, we see the status service. This little icon here show if there are alerts or incidents created from here, but also changes. So on the last 3 hours, which is a full time frame, this has been with problems. Let's go and put bigger time on this. Let's look at the last 12 hours. And interesting enough, I see blue appear here, telling me that around an hour before this problem started to decay, there was a change. So that is like, okay, let's go get that one. That's one option. We can easily see here visually. That's one relation. But the other one, and very interesting, when analyzing the root cause, which down here and telling me, okay, this is the probable cause, analyzing the alerts, there is a specific tab here for changes. And what it's telling me, look at this. There are 3 changes. One started 7 hours ago, implementation is still in progress, and has the higher probability of being the root cause. There are other changes, but are already completed, like yesterday and the day before yesterday, and because they are completed and farther away in time, the probability of them being the root cause is lower. So it's taking all that into consideration and telling me, okay, probably this one is the root cause of what I need to analyze. And of course, if I click here, I will open the change request and can analyze what's going on with the change request, who's subjected, what they did, and so on. Let's move on. Let's go to the third one, remediation. And this is going to take 5 more minutes. There are 2 from remediation. One that is from the remediation requesting approval, which says automatically create a change request and wait for approval before executing remediation. Because here on the ITOM world, we got a automated remediation, something breaks, you can make some ruling to make a remediation manually or automatically. But also there is another one which says, for remediation, /GLTPT will read the past incidents and analyze how they were resolved and propose remediation actions for current situation or alerts. So let's go and see how that's work. So we are here again at the top on Apex Watches. What we look a little bit before getting to remediation is the situation that we briefly introduced before. We drilled down in this one before, but let's go into this one, which is more a complex situation. In fact, it's a grouping of situations and telling me, okay, there is one of the situation which is the primary. So let's go there. So this is a bunch of situations all together, and it's telling me, okay, from all these things that happen, this is probably the primary one that is causing all the problem. So we'll go into there. What do we see here? Remember, we said we can run remediations. Before explaining how we do it with approval, let's do the basic one. This is a situation, meaning a lot of alerts together. This is the correlation graph that use the tool to analyze why they're together and which is the root cause, not the focus for explaining today. What I do want to point here is we got a lot of alerts and we got some automations available to fix things. So I can go here and I say, oh, I want to, you are offering this to the operator or the administrator if you want, so they can run the automation from here. So it's embedded in the solution, the option to execute an automation, which can end up running things in Ansible or other tools to actually execute the automation. AIOps, the ITOM world, it's a broker of remediation. It's that usually does not go and fix things. There are lots of tools to change what needs to be changed. My experience talking with customers is they like this, but they prefer to run this automatically. So all these remediations, in this case, are offered to the operator, but most customers I talk to, they say, no, let's run this automatically. And they already started implementing this. In fact, the other day I was talking with a customer. They have already some numbers. They analyze how much time it took for them to run a remediation. And even though, for example, the remediation would be restart the server is 5 minutes, because all the process involved, they waste 30 minutes. all people time involved in it, actually just going and restart a server if that's an easy part. Or let's do an easier example, delete a directory. They have already 10 type of remediation defined. Each month they run about 800 automatically. And if you do the math, running 800 per month, taking 30 minutes, they avoiding people working on that. That's roughly 400 hours per month they are saving because they are automating the remediations. And they are talking about basic remediation, like delete this space, restart server of a cluster, nothing very fancy yet. But I could click here, okay, let's run this, and we'll go from the background for the operator does not know where this goes, and it's working. And in this case, for example, it's telling me it failed for some reason. We'll analyze that other day. But now let's assume there is a critical operation. You do not want the operator the ability to just run the remediation. You want like some control to allow the operator can invoke the remediation, but you need someone to analyze that. For example, you want to restart the whole Kubernetes. So I got another environment here with that already prepared. In this case, it's going to be the same remediation, but there is some specifically one with approval, meaning I would only show to the operator this option. You can run this, but it will require approval. So if you require this, I say yes. This will automatically create a change request. And until that change request is not approved, this running will not proceed. In fact, the change request could be rejected. So at this point, this is waiting that someone approved that. In fact, if I look to the history, I can see I was running this previously and I play rejecting the change request. This is that one I ran before. I go into the change, it created this change request, and I go there and reject it. They said, no, this is not allowed to work. And so that one was not running. And if I go here to the top, we'll see that the one that I have already just run is waiting for this change request to be approved or rejected. So that change request will be directed to someone and it will work on that. The configuration of that, it's also really, really simple. You just need to create, let me show you, inside the automation, you got the policies, and you just get any one of those policies that you already got, you edit. This is the policy that I showed to the operator. If you just enable this, for this policy, it will create a change request, wait the change request approval, and when it's approved, it will continue with the policy. So there's nothing else to do. Really, all is embedded in the solution. So that was the first demo, which is, okay, let's do a remediation with approval. But there was another one, which was read from incidents and propose me solutions. So if I go back here, I didn't mention before, but on top was something which is part of the GPT involvement in AIOps and the service management also. In this case, the basic part is like a situation summary. What happens in many customers, okay, I do not know how to solve this. These options here is not helping me. What can I do? And what has been introduced in the tool like a year ago is GPT providing options for running solutions to this problem. So what we are doing here, what GPT is doing in the background, is reading all the alerts that were below, reading all the relationships, sending that to a GPT, which in fact behind is an LLM, and proposing solutions. With the basic configuration, these solutions are part of the pre-trained model of the LLM that BMC provides. But you can connect this to the incident manager, to the ITSM. And what that will do is put in the answers that this answer is appearing here, also an analysis of how was solved in my environment, in ITSM, how was solved in the past, something like this. We'll go and read the resolution closure notes of each of the incidents related to these CIs in this situation, analyze that and propose solutions for this to work and show in this tool. So let's go back. We are okay on time. So we saw how to make a recommendation with approval, and when we are trying to remediate, get recommendation actions, also reading what has happened in the past in ITSM and the incidents on how we solved this in the past. Going to the last demo, blackout. This is a very simple but really interesting one. What does it tell me? It tells when a change gets in implementation status, a blackout policy is created in 𝘂𝘁 to blackout alerts associated to that CI in change, which is like a really basic case. You know that when you are changing something, like for example, restarting a server here in the IT infrastructure, at the moment that servers go down, you will get an alert in the monitor console because someone should be monitoring that server. But instead of getting an alert, that does not help you because there's a change already documented for that. Change will automatically create a blackout here, so that alert will not appear until the change finishes. So let's see how this works in the tool, or how is it. So let me show you first how this is activated, which is like, again, I showed this before, and this is the other way to activate the blackout policy. You just click here and say, okay, ready. Blackout policy is now active. You got some configurations you can do and change, fine tune. But from now on, all the change that get into implementation station will automatically create a blackout policy in Helix operation. In this particular environment, I don't have many, but let me show you from another environment how does look like. If you go into 𝘂𝘁, it's particularly into the blackout policies part, a lot of blackout policies will automatically be created. In fact, I got customers that had made manually creation integration between a Jira service management and 𝘂𝘁 to also create blackout policies, because that is really important. Not get alerts in 𝘂𝘁 for things that are documented and going on in the change world. So just to finish, with that, we have seen the 4 demos on the tool, and let's do a quick recap on that. So what have we seen? I said 4 demos, but we saw there are a lot of lines. There are actually 7 demos. So we'll go from each of those one at a time. And let's talk about the benefits that we get for each of those demos. So for the first one, we saw that from inside the incident, we saw the status service provided by the ITOM continent and the root cause. And how does that help us? It provides the agent, the person attending the incident, with real-time status of the applications without leaving the Helix ITSM interface. So it less wastes time and provides a better service to the end user. And in this one, we also had the ability to create incidents, events on event or situations manually or automatically, and those remain sync. And the benefit of that is that it will accelerate the creation of incidents and ITSM, which usually a lot of waits time. So we avoid that manual effort, and also avoid the manual data entry errors. Usually when you create the ticket manually, might be some error loading that, so that is completely avoided. In the second demo, we saw 2 parts. The number 3, how the change in the context appear in the status on AIOps, and how does help us. the Helix ITO operation can visualize if there was any change in the past and see the status of that. So reduce the effort of analysis and hence by that, reduce the mean time to repair. But also the solution automatically consider the change in the root cause analysis. And that helps us even further when we got a war room, all people working together, so we can quickly focus faster in one particular change, avoiding having all the teams working each on each part of the different incident or different symptoms, which reduce the effort of analysis of the whole team, and you get quicker to the root cause and reduce the mean time to repair of the incident. Demo number 5, automatically create a change request and wait for approval before executing the remediation. How does this help us? Because it does integrate the current ITSM process into the IT operations, and you get more traceability and audit for things that are being done, which in hence gives you more control, less failure, and higher availability of the applications. And the other demo we saw here is like for giving recommendations for actions to do. Helix GPT would read the past incidents and provide you what was done in the past. And then you can use that, of course, with the benefit of reuse existing knowledge, which will increase the team efficiency and help you reduce faster the mean time to repair and resolve the incident. And last but not least, when change gets into an implementation status, a blackout policy is created in BHOM. And how does this benefit us? You will reduce the noise in the console, much less alert for all the change going on, which help us focus on real issues that are going on and help us on a faster focus on the root cause of the actual issues and not looking alerts that they are no purpose. So let's go back to the beginning. We talked at the beginning, we need to connect all the words, all the continents from the IT operation, the ITOM and the ITSM. But we humans are not anymore bounded to the Earth. 60, 70 years ago, we already get to the moon. And only 20 years ago, we get to Mars. Not only we get to Mars and put robots on that, but on our last flight, we even put a helicopter there, Ingenuity, if you know about that. And that little piece, which started like a proof of concept, was flying in Mars for 3 years, doing 70 missions, collecting information and looking from above. And an atmosphere, it is only 1% atmosphere of the Earth. So we, as human species, are going farther and farther away. So we want from BMC to help you to get farther away in your service operation journey. Thank you very much. Now, let's go for questions. And before that, before open for questions, we got some words from Samantha.
We've got a couple of references slides, and I'm sure that many of you have seen these before in our other webinars that we do with the AIOps series. So just a couple of links. Please don't worry about trying to type them down. We've deliberately made them hyperlinks. We will be sharing out the content post-event today. We'll also be sharing the slides. And then we've also got the past recordings, which is on the next slide. And they are from the start that when you're on, and I did this from April last year, we will continue to find guest speakers, bring the content to you. This can also be found on the community site, and all of the recordings go into YouTube. So again, when you click on those links, it will take you to the direct access. Before we do go into Q&A, what I would love is if you do, when you get the thank you email out, can fill in the survey, let us know what else you'd like to see. Obviously, we're always looking for content and speakers, and if any of you want to be brave enough to come and reach out, we would love to have some of our customers or partners come and co-share this platform with us as well. So do have a think and reach out to me through the survey that will come hopefully in the next 24 hours. So with that, we will now move to the Q&A. I'm just going to start unmuting everyone, so be aware it might automatically take you on off mute, so you might want to mute yourself again. Ahmed, I'm going to actually pick on you first, if that's okay, because you've been very prolific in the Q&A, asking lots of questions and giving us feedback. Is there anything that you want to share? Because I can see you were suggesting some ideas and options. Do you want to come off mute? And welcome, if you can hear us. I'm not sure if you're able to speak. I have unmuted you. Don't be scared. Normally you're very talkative on these sessions. Okay. I will just give me a few minutes, or hey, just while I'm doing that, and I'm muting everyone, is there any call to actions or any other thoughts that you want to share? Because I think the main thing is for them to get access to have a play around with the demo. Was there anything else you wanted to share?
Not specifically. In the invitation, you got the link to the tool I was showing before, this one. So you got there. That is a little bit different than this. This is a little bit simplified, but it's the same tool. So that you already got access. And because we have time, yes, we do have time. I had a hidden slide that was a bonus track, which is my passion. So we'll do and unhide that slide now, because it was not there. And let's talk about this. Bonus track, book recommendation. I'm talking about space exploration, science book. I hope you might know or might not know what is the Fermi paradox, but basically, if the universe is filling with aliens, where is everybody? This book is a scientific book, very interesting, has a 75 answers, scientific answers, from why have we not been seeing the aliens? One of the answers I love from this book goes with the size of the universe and tell us, okay, from our size, with human size, up to the size of the universe is 25 orders of magnitude going up. But if you go down to the very small, instead of 25 orders of magnitude, you got 36 order of magnitudes going down to the smallest and smallest. So perhaps we were looking in the wrong direction. It's not out, it's now inside. That's one of the examples. And if you like sci-fi books, I love them. This is a beautiful book, cie𝗂𝗂𝘁-cie𝗳-𝗁 from the author of The Martian, very hard scientific book, talking about stuff, very interesting. I highly, highly recommend it. And if you have more time, this is a series of books that talks about the von Neumann probes, self-replicating probe, exploring the space. Very, very interesting, those.
So
that is the bonus track for today.
Question.
Yes.
I have a question. Are you going to share links to these books on Amazon in the after the session?
I had not thought about that, but I can do that. Yes, I can do that.
Sam, can we do that?
Yeah, I can add those into the Q&A.
Because I definitely want to read all three, actually.
Yes, I can do that. I will put it in my to-do list. Or Goodreads or Amazon. I will do that. Any open technical question besides the books?
No, there's a few people that aren't able to come off mute. Sometimes they join where they can't use the audio. So those questions that we had in there have been answered, and any others I can share with you, but nothing at the moment. So does anyone else want to come off mute and ask some direct questions to Jorge?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. With AIOps, are there any features that are customizable? Kind of how with ITSM, with DWP and those things. Are there any features within AIOps that you could customize?
It's a very broad question. The answer is yes, but I could think of answering in very different paths. If you talk about DWP, the first thing that comes to my mind is dashboard Grafana, accessing all the data and creating and customizing your own dashboard to see what happens in AIOps, and of course, and also in ITSM in the same place. But then you got out the rules you can create and customize to process information, or how sensitive you want AIOps to be to recognize a problem. Not sure if that was your targeting question.
Yeah.
So just one more example, maybe, Jorge.
Yes.
So I actually worked with a customer where they were looking to have kind of a master view of all of their business services, but they wanted to augment it with special indicators, like stars in different colors that denote the value or the importance of each business service, and then have indicators in there showing the health of the business service and how many events or situations are going on. So all of that is customizable, like you said, through Helix dashboard. So they built this really, really cool dashboard that was fully customized for their needs. It showed a heat map, it showed all their services, and just had a lot of extra information. And now they basically have this dashboard running on these huge screens in the halls and in the break rooms and in people's offices. So everybody could, at any given point in time, understand the health of all of their business services. So that's just one example of how you can customize a tool to your specific needs.
Okay. Thank you both. I appreciate that.